Why does it feel like every day this week there has been a voice actor drama within the gacha community? First we had the Aglaia VA situation, then a couple days ago we had Alto's VA being like called out on Twitter for some comments he made about Alto and Brant in one of his videos, and yesterday we had the voice actor of Dr. Ratio, Jordan Paul Harrow, say a couple of comments that was very, I guess, politically charged, that has separated and divided a lot of his own fan base, that's resulted in an overwhelming amount of people on gacha Twitter to unrelentingly shit on this man. Other voice actors coming out to speak their own minds of things, and in general, it's a bit of a clusterfuck. It's a bit of a clusterfuck, okay? I'm just trying not to swear, but it's a bit of a clusterfuck right now over Twitter. So basically, what the lowdown was is Jordan Paul Harrow is the voice actor for Dr. Ratio in Honkai Star Rail. Yippee! You know, hey, a lot of people like Dr. Ratio, is a fan favorite for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, and he uploaded a video to his own channel talking about why he has been on a streaming hiatus, on a content hiatus, and things about his life and some updates, which is, you know, completely fine. He then goes on to talk about how he wants to deepen his belief and faith in God and connect more with Christianity, which is perfectly, hey, who am I to say if that's what you want to do? Fair play, you can talk about whatever you want. However, he then started to talk about the recent political landscape of everything and included Charlie Kirk in that discussion, which, as we all know, unless you've been living under a rock, is a very divisive topic of conversation. I want to make something abundantly clear before I kind of like carry on with the rest of this video. I'm kind of filming this after the fact. I want to set a few things like straight in place like immediately. Number one, I wish it wasn't the case where people can talk about their beliefs and like political opinions and we were able to do so freely without worry. I wish we could do that. I wish that was the reality of the situation. However, that's just not how real life works. People will always have retaliation. People will always have opinions. That's number one. And number two, I think if you are sending like hate to Jordan because of this and you're being very, not just hateful, but like death threats and anything along those lines and saying some really obscene stuff, like, do you think you are being the best person? Are you being a better person than who you think you are criticizing? I just want to lay those groundworks out like right now before we move on to the rest of this. I kind of talk about it a little bit more later, but I think it's kind of to set a tone here. I don't like talking about politics on this channel. I never do. I feel like you guys don't care about what my thoughts in politics are, nor is it something that I particularly want to get into, so I'm going to be trying to keep this as objective as possible. I'm not here to part any sort of opinionated piece on how I feel about one side or the other, because that's kind of, I'm just gonna be wasting everyone's time, I feel like, in that regard. But it is just an objective truth that the whole scenario surrounding Charlie Kirk has been extremely polarizing. It's been extremely controversial and filled with a lot of political tension. It's one of the heaviest topics you as an actor, as an influencer, as someone with any kind of notoriety, if you bring up and say political thoughts on, you're going to be causing a division in your community. You're going to be causing a division in your fan base. So Jordan Paul Harrow went on to say about why he admired Charlie Kirk so much and how this whole scenario has kind of affected him and why it's kind of a reason he wants to kind of deepen his faith and deepen his belief in God and being a Christian, which is his prerogative and right to do. Obviously, he made his comments about Charlie Kirk and appreciating his outlook and how he believes Charlie just wants to have open discussions. That's something that he wants also for like himself and the community and the greater, you know, debate landscape that we live in right now in this political climate, which is fair enough for him to have. But I think you have to realize and understand, and what I'm curious about is, how could you not know that talking about something like this would split your fan base so much? Because the response on Twitter has been pretty overwhelming. every single reply, it feels like, to his announcement of this video is filled with like disgust, rage, disappointment, frustration, sadness. There are so many people who will say, how could you support someone who is so divisive? How could you support someone that is so hateful? How could you support someone that wants groups of people to be oppressed? How could you do this? We even have like other VAs who are kind of subtweeting about the situation. I'm not gonna lie, they're not directly calling out Jordan, but they're saying, hey guys, I just want you to know everyone is included in my community and in my fan base. I will never discriminate. I would never be hateful towards any group. Like a lot of VAs as well, trying to make their stance clear on the matter without outright saying they support or don't support Charlie Kirk. They're saying, hey, I'm inclusive to everyone. Clearly kind of like subtweeting about this whole situation that's going on and trying to be like, hey guys, I want you to know that like I'm good. I'm good. This other thing that's happening is bad, but I'm very good. And that's kind of how it feels right now over on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a battleground. I open it for 5 minutes, I'm scrolling, I'm seeing all this happening, and I'm like, this is a mess. I almost didn't want to make a video about this because I'm like, this is like, I don't know if I want to touch this with a 10-foot pole, but I think there's a way we can talk about this like objectively. And that's why I want to know, because in Jordan's own video where he was speaking about all of this, he said, I'm a guy who doesn't like to talk about controversial topics and keep my mouth shut on things.
I'm very much someone who would rather just keep his mouth shut over controversial topics, and just to keep the peace, I guess.
Then proceeds to talk about one of the most controversial things that you could do right now. Like ever at all, any conversation you could, there are so many like milder controversial things that you could speak about, right? Like I could talk about why beans on toast is a good fucking meal and people will be like, that's controversial, or why tuna mayo, beans and cheese is a good combination on a jacket potato. That's gonna be pretty controversial and divisive, you know. There's like layers to this, but I think talking about Charlie Kirk's death is like probably near the top things of controversial, divisive, community splitting things you can do right now as someone of influence, of someone that's in the public eye, that relies on public relations and having good public standing to be booked in for jobs. It feels, I don't think we can say the words, I don't like talking about controversial topics anymore. I think that's kind of a silly thing to say, given what comes afterwards. Whether or not you're pro Charlie Kirk or you're against Charlie Kirk, talking about it like this and outright saying that you admire him is clearly picking a side. And once you pick a side in the political sphere that's that controversial, you are going to split your audience. You will go from having like maybe a non-biased milquetoast audience with a hodgepodge of people with different backgrounds and belief and political ideologies, and now they're separating off to people who might rally behind you and be like, actually wait, this guy's even more based, he holds the same views that I do. It's like confirmation bias, right? He has the same views that I do. I really like this guy. But on the flip side, you're also gonna have the group of people who are like, how could he do this? He's scum. I can't believe he's doing. We've got to cancel him. We've got to like, grr. People gritting and bearing their teeth at the situation, and I just don't understand why, as someone who relies on media relations and public perception to kind of work, you would want to do that. Just for why? Because the only reason I can think of is that the whole situation means so much to you, and it means so much more than like your job. That's the only logical way I can think of why someone would want to like post that video with that in it. Like you must like care so much about that whole situation and everything more than like your kind of career in that aspect, because you know it's going to split and divide them. Right? And I'm not here saying that, oh, you shouldn't be able to talk about your political beliefs. You shouldn't be able to talk about all these things if you want a job. I'm not saying that. Everyone's got free will. You could do what you fucking want. I don't care. But you know what isn't? There is also freedom of speech also has freedom of consequence. There will be consequences to the things that you say, unfortunately. And the consequences are some people might love you and some people might fucking hate you. That's just the reality of the situation. Like you have. I could say I might have some. You know, I may be an extremist. Who knows? I'm not. That's just a joke. But if I was, hypothetically, okay. If I start, I'm free to say whatever I like. Well, I guess maybe not. I live in the UK, but you know what I mean. If I was an American, I could say whatever I want. I could say absolutely whatever I want. That doesn't mean that people can't then not criticize me and cancel me and throw my words all the way across the internet and suddenly there's a perception of me. You know, that can happen, and you have to just weigh up the risk to the reward in these sorts of things. And I think the whole Charlie Kirk situation and being so favorable of it is definitely a choice. And hey, you know what? Bro got balls. That's all I can say. That man has absolute balls. If I could salute him on anything, it would be the fact he's got balls to talk about that, and in the same sentence say he doesn't like talking about controversial topics because ooh, those Twitter replies don't look particularly nice. And I'm gonna say, I don't think anyone should be getting that amount of hate for anything like this. I think it's stupid. If you are sending like death threats or really vile messages to Jordan, I don't think that's okay. I don't think there is like it's really, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think that makes you a better person than him. You know what I mean? Do you really think sending someone death threats and being that hateful suddenly makes you the better person? I don't think so. Like, I actually think that makes you a shit person. But again, actions to consequences to actions is all I can say. So it's been a bit of a weird one, hasn't it? It feels like the internet has made us think that everybody needs to like say their opinion, and everybody, like, especially Twitter. If you use Twitter, and if you're a chronic Twitter user like I do, you think that everybody needs to know your opinion. Oh my god, like, I just had the best meal ever. Everybody needs to know about this, okay? They need to know exactly what I just ate for lunch because it's so important to me. And it's like, you don't have to talk about everything. But again, if that means so much to you that you feel like you have to, fine, go ahead. But you gotta understand there can be consequences to what you say. And I'm just very confused and scratching my head why someone who relies on public perception so much would do something like this, unless that's what they care about more. Which, if that's the case, fair enough. And we all know what the kind of like the gacha community can be like, all the types of people in the gacha community. There's a lot of left-leaning people, like very left-leaning people in the gacha community. Equally, there's a lot of right-leaning people too. It is a mishmash of a lot of different political ideologies, and you've directly split your audience down the middle. That's why people don't talk about politics. And that's why I'm not going to talk about politics on this channel, at least for a very long time. At least for a very long time, because it's so controversial and divisive, and I just don't see any particular gain from it. I only see a loss that can happen. I really do. I can only see, I don't see anything positive coming out from it. But anyway, I will say though, I've seen so many people on Twitter feel very angry, upset, distraught, betrayed about this. Like, oh, you ruined my favorite character for me, Jordan. I can no longer look at Dr. Ratio in the same way. And if you are someone who feels like that, I think that's not okay and that's not healthy. You need that separation from like voice actor, an actor or artist to like the media that they portray. They are not the characters. You shouldn't it's like people who hate J.K. Rowling and suddenly they can't read or watch Harry Potter. Like, I feel that's kind of like silly. And that's a lot of like attachment to a real person that you don't need. You just don't need, if you don't like, you don't need to associate with them. You can just enjoy the character and the other. They are not the character. They shouldn't ruin that character for you. Of course, it can be disappointing if you feel a certain way, but I don't think it's healthy if you suddenly feel betrayed or you feel betrayed by your favorite character. That's not okay. And I feel like maybe we should do some collective grass touching if that is the case, okay? Like if you can no longer look at Dr. Ratio in the same way and you're mad at Jordan now because you've ruined this character for me, I think we need to like ground ourselves a little and just like look at the sun, touch some grass. I don't know, it just seems a bit strange. At the end of the day, Jordan is just one guy. He shouldn't ruin your opinion of things. He shouldn't ruin your impression of characters. And I don't think he deserves to be absolutely put on a spear and made a complete mockery and fool of and ridiculed for just being someone who... It's very clear from his video that his intentions his intentions are good and pure in the sense of he just wants to like deepen his faith with God, deepen his faith in Christianity, and he wants to be able to push for like open dialogues between people. That on its own, I understand that, and I don't see like a wrong in that. People really just have the issue of like, Charlie Kirk is your idol, that comes into question your own morals as a bit like, what else do you agree with him? Do you agree with him on more of the other controversial thing? That's really where the problem is. But I'm really trying not to see the worst in someone. I always do. I get shit for this sometimes, where like I will see someone try and say something and I'll always try and see the best in what they're saying, right? Like the Genazard situation, like I've always been this way. Like I try and see what they're maybe trying to, and I don't think this is a guy full of hate. I really don't. I think some people might believe he's misguided. Some people might think he's incredibly based. Again, this is such a conflicted climate where politics feels like sports teams. It's like you're either on one side or the other and you have to fight and there's no in between. And that's the landscape. But I don't think this should be a cause for him to lose his job or lose his work or any of that stuff. I don't think that would be a fitting outcome for this happening. For him just trying to talk about like his life like this, you know, like he is not Charlie Kirk, but it feels like people are now putting all of Charlie's like stuff on him because he said he admired him. But I also know too many Charlie Kirk is kind of like a non-negotiative for a lot of people. Like no, it doesn't matter what any good Charlie might do to a lot of people. He did so much bad that it can't be outweighed. And how could you possibly admire someone who's done so much bad in their eyes? Right? That's really the two like sides that we're at, and why I don't think we can ever get like a resolution from stuff like this. It's just so difficult to navigate, and the reason why I don't do politics ever, and I will never cover politics on this channel, at least not for a while. That's kind of my thoughts on the situation. I'll make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Twitch.tv/Captain Cabinetz, Captain Cabinetz.